Hi everyone, I am MD Mazhar Islam from University of North Carolina at Charlotte. My other colleagues Dr. Ihab Al-Shai from Carnegie Mellon University and Basid Rahim from UNC Charlotte. Today I will present our paper, Email Address Mutation for Proactive Deterrence Against Lateral Spear Phishing Attack. Email spear phishing attack is one of the most devastating cyber threats against individual and business victims. Spearphisher can impersonate authoritative identities in order to incite victims to perform actions that help them to gain financial and hacking goal. Recent report shows that 90% of data breaches in 2017 and 2018 include a phishing element. 74% of public sector and 64% of organizations attack involve spear phishing attacks. 71.4% of phishing attacks and data breaches in the United States used spear phishing. The FBI reported that only in 2019 over $26 billion has been lost to spear phishing and account takeover. Unlike phishing, where adversary sends generic emails with malicious attachment or links to a massive number of users indiscriminately, hoping that someone will take the bait, spear phishing is more targeted. Many of these spear phishing cannot be detected based on analyzing email because they can be sent from compromised benign accounts. This special type of phishing is known as lateral spear phishing attack. To make the attack trustworthy and effective, adversaries carefully choose those compromised accounts that are closely related to the victim, such as employees from the same organization. Lateral spear phishing attacks are very hard to detect because of the cleverly crafted content created by deep analyzing the prior conversation with the victim. In lateral spear phishing, adversaries inherently defeat the defender by evading any existing security regarding sender authentication, as the email is coming from legitimate account, and defeating behavioral anomaly detectors by accessing human anchoring, as the email seemingly composed by a trusted entity. Here is an example of lateral spear phishing attack. Adversary Trudy compromises the email account of Alice, CEO of an organization. By examining her inbox, Trudy obtains that Alice directed Bob to make some wire transaction for arranging an upcoming business meeting. Exploiting this analysis, Trudy composes a phishing email from Alice's email account to Bob asking him to make a wire transaction to Trudy's bank account. This type of lateral spear phishing are crafted carefully by observing previous emails and may not contain any malicious attachment or URL that make it very hard to detect. Existing literature that detects lateral spear phishing attacks, such as behavioral anomaly-based detector, uses distinct attack signature, for example, malicious URL or attachment, and features for header or content analysis. However, they require large historical dataset for training and often subject to high false positive and false negative rates. They fails to detect lateral spear phishing attack because lateral spear phishing attacks mimics benign user behavior. They can avoid bad signatures, and they composed from legitimate email accounts. Therefore, standard email spoofing detectors such as SPF, DKIM, DMARC fail to detect lateral spear phishing attack. Other cryptographic approaches such as PGP and SMIME can ensure sender authenticity by digitally signed or encrypt the email. However, they are not widely used because of low usability. It requires end user to use public key cryptography. The users often requires training to use PGP tools. They also have very low transparency. For example, PGP encrypted ciphertexts immediately lose the visibility from the plain text, which often prevents using other technologies such as IDS. Recent studies shows that PGP signatures can be spoofed as well. Therefore, we developed a novel proactive defense technique using sender email address mutation to protect a group of related users called VIP users from lateral spear phishing attack. In our approach, we change the sender email address randomly while forwarding an email that can only be verified by the trusted peers. A secure gateway in the cloud do the mutation and verification transparently between end users and email service providers. It does not impose any overhead or restriction on email communication with external users. Email mutation technique is transparent, secure, and very effective. It allows users to use their email as usual while they are fully protected from lateral spear phishing attack. Here's an example to understand the email mutation protocol. For example, Alice and Bob from same organization decided to use email mutation. So we call them VIP users. There is another user, Ron from enterprise.com, who is not in the list, hence known as non-VIP users. Before the mutation starts, they use their real email addresses as regular to communicate with each other. We call such communication real channel communication. However, when the email mutation starts, each of the VIP user receives a set of shadow email addresses. For example, Alice gets n number of shadow email addresses and Bob receives m number of shadow email addresses. Now, when Alice composes an email to Bob, instead of using her real email addresses, one of her shadow email address is used as sender email addresses. Similarly, when Bob sends an email to Alice, one of his shadow email addresses is used as sender email address. So what is a shadow email address? The shadow emails are a list of pre-created email accounts assigned to all VIP users but being kept hidden from them. These accounts are only used in email transmission as a sender address. Only the email mutation gateways conduct with these email accounts. Depending on the impacts, the number of shadow email addresses assigned to a VIP user varies. A possible shadow email address may look like real email address.x, where x is at least 16-byte long random alphanumeric sequence. There is an example of Alice shadow email addresses. In the email mutation architecture, we have two components. One is the email mutation agent that resides in the client environment. All the devices a client may use to access their email account must have an email mutation agent. Another component is the central email mutation gateway, which resides in the clouds. Now let's see the workflow of email mutation system. Alice wanted to compose an email to another VIP user, Bob. The email goes to the mutation gateway through the email mutation agent. In the gateway, the real email address alice@org.com changes to one of her shadow email addresses, and then it forwarded to the mail server. When Bob wanted to fetch a new email, the email first go to his mutation gateway. Inside the gateway, the shadow email address gets verified. If the verification is successful, the gateway translates back the shadow email address to the real email address and forwarded it to the agent. The agent then delivers the email to the client. Here is the algorithm that how a shadow email address gets selected for both mutation and verification. When a VIP user sends an email to another VIP user, their last L number of email communication between them is used as ground truth. The ground truth is hashed to generate a mutation ID. By indexing the mutation ID, a shadow email address gets selected from a secret arrangement of shadow email addresses assigned to that sender. Now let's see how email mutation system identifies a lateral spear phishing attack. Assume that TrueD compromises one of the VIP user's Alice email account. Now TrueD can do the following two cases to compose a phishing email. In case 1, TrueD directly sends an email as Alice to Bob. In case 2, TrueD guessed there is an email mutation going on and now she wanted to assume or randomly guess one of Alice's shadow email address. In either case, the email first goes to the mail server. When Bob wanted to fetch that email, it goes to the email mutation gateway first, where the mutation gateway sees that the sender address is coming from either directly from Alice's account or it is a random guess of shadow email addresses. However, adversary TrueD doesn't have Alice's secret shadow email addresses, so the guessing address is not correct. Therefore, the mutation gateway identifies the email as threat. Then the email gets discarded. To optimize the overall communication with external users, email mutation do not do any mutation when a VIP user sends an email to a non-VIP users. Similarly, no verification happens when a VIP user receives an email from a non-VIP users. Building such a solution is very challenging. For example, does multiple shadow email accounts requires any extra storage? The answer is no. Shadow email accounts only uses for sending emails. The receiver email address will always be the real email address where all the emails goes. Email mutation gateway uses IMAP append command to populate the real email sandbox to keep track of a successful delivery of an email between two VIP users. Email mutation doesn't imposes any usability issues because It is completely transparent to end users, and it is very easy to use. It doesn't require any user training. For example, the system only adds a button in the client environment to forward an email with mutation. It is easy to integrate because email mutation doesn't change the email in the client environment. Email mutation is not vulnerable to insider attack. To understand what is an insider attack, let's assume that John is a VIP user who stole Alice's email account credential. Then John uses his email mutation agent to send a phishing email to Bob by impersonating Alice. To solve this problem, every VIP user's agent is synchronized with its corresponding mutation gateway instance through a unique authentication token. That means John's agent can only get instance of his mutation gateway. Therefore, it will only work for John himself, not for Alice or Bob. The system doesn't cause any privacy violations. For example, the gateways does not keep any copy of the email. The mutation agent connects with the gateways through secure channel such as SSL or TLS to defend against any man-in-the-middle attack while transmission. The secret shadow email list cannot be retrieved from the gateways. Secure email gateways are becoming very popular these days. Therefore, many organizations are adopting cloud-based secure gateways, including Cisco, Microsoft, Barracuda, Mimecast, and more. Email mutation gateways are consistent. For example, if a VIP user deletes any email from his sendbox or inbox that was sent by another VIP user, then the ground truth between them becomes asynchronous. To solve this problem, email mutation gateway keeps the hashed digest of the last L number of emails between two VIP users. Sender and receiver gateways perform this hash storing operation asynchronously while sending and or receiving an email. Therefore, they do not need to communicate with each other. Email mutation is a new technique, therefore it is necessary to ensure the design correctness. We use UPAL model checker to formally specify, model and verify the system to find any unknown behavior. We modeled email mutation using timed automata and verified against the following temporal properties. The first one is reachability, which describes that every good state is reachable and every bad state is unreachable. The liveliness describes the system is progressing to achieve a specific goal. And the deadlock freeness ensures that the system is not stopped and it is always progressing. We evaluate our email mutation system on various aspects. For example, the lateral spear phishing and spoofing identification rate, the overhead added to the system, the brute force approach to break the email mutation system, and detecting other attacks such as integrity violation attack or man-in-the-middle attack. In our experiment setup, we protected more than 5,000 VIP members over 5 different organizations. The NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory Red Team sends more than 500,000 attack emails. The VIP members use different types of email service providers such as Gmail, Microsoft Exchange, Apple iCloud, and so on. And they use different kinds of email clients such as mail.google.com, Outlook, Thunderbird, and more. Here is the output of the detection results. The lateral spear phishing and spoofing detection rate is 100% for all values of shadow email addresses. Although we developed email mutation system to detect lateral spear phishing and spoofing attack, we checked our system with other attacks such as man-in-the-middle attack. We showed that the integrity attack can be detected with 99% accuracy by using 100 shadow email addresses for a VIP user. Here is the attack detection results. The details can be found in our paper. We evaluated the shadow email address selection time against different email size. We showed that the delay is between 3 to 7 milliseconds for email size 7 to 12 megabyte. We evaluated the mutation overhead compared to the end-to-end email forwarding delay. For example, email size 7 to 12 megabyte, mutation delay is 4.5 milliseconds and the overall sending time is 1.5 seconds. Thus, the mutation overhead is 0.5% compared to the end-to-end email forwarding delay, which is very negligible. Using the similar technique, we calculate the verification overhead. We showed that the emails having 7 to 12 megabyte size have overall 10 milliseconds receiving delay, where the verification delay is 7 milliseconds. We measured the overall performance of an email mutation gateway by sending more than thousands of emails at a time to a single mutation gateway. While dealing with 5,000 emails per second, the average processing delay for mutation is 1.1 seconds, and for verification is 10.9 milliseconds. We evaluated brute force attack to break email mutation system. Adversary may try to phish by randomly guessing a shadow email addresses. However, guessing a 16-byte alphanumeric string is very hard. Therefore, we inform all valid shadow email addresses to the red team prior to launching the attack. It takes more than 14,000 tries for an adversary to phish a VIP user having 100 shadow email addresses. We showed that increasing number of VIP members or organizations do not impose any overhead into the system. The delays only increased when the total number of emails dealt at a time increases. In conclusion, the existing spear phishing detectors are limited on using email contents for specific features such as malicious attachment or URLs. However, we presented a novel approach using sender email address mutation to proactively defend against the most devastating and stealthy spear phishing attack called lateral spear phishing. Our system guarantees that phishing emails sent from trusted users will be detected immediately. Email mutation techniques well integrated with existing email infrastructure, and it requires no special handling by the user. It requires an agent to be deployed on the client side and a central gateway in the cloud. We implemented and evaluated our system in large-scale real-world enterprise network with well-known email service providers such as Gmail. Our evaluation results showed that it caused only 0.5% overhead on overall email transmission, which is very negligible. Moreover, we showed that it is very hard to break the mutation system through brute force attack. The email mutation system has some limitations as well. For example, it cannot protect users if their physical machines get stolen. Another one is VIP users needs an agent instance for every single device they use. In future, we want to enhance our system to protect users if their physical device gets stolen. And we want to leverage our system in the server side to remove the use of email mutation agents. Thank you.